we also had the group of the LGBTQI. Yeah, and I had a friend who is part of that, and was like, you know, I'm facing this discrimination and all of that. What do you think about us? Great Wall of China. Do you know how long it was built? You have no idea. Which dynasty was able to build that? Somebody will be like, I didn't know about this. So you guys, you believe in Jesus? Like, not only in Jesus, but in the miraculous birth of Jesus, and even the second coming of Jesus. And we even have chapter, Surah Maryam, dedicated for the mother Mary, the mother of Jesus.
And I know that this is wrong, but it feels so right. The life of
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back to Dawah Legacies with your host Abdullah Panjwani, and a guest today who has a bachelor degrees in economics from the illustrious Zanzibar University in Tanzania. Together with that, he's also part of Global Health Corps, the illustrious Global Health Corps since 2021, and has many more accolades to his name. Ladies and gentlemen, we present to you Hanif Munthali. Assalamu alaikum, brother. How are you?
I'm all right, and how are you?
Alhamdulillah. So many times when we begin, we start on a very light-hearted note, just to get to know the guest better, for everyone to connect to you better also. So what we tend to do is we have short, quick-fire questions. Okay. So whichever one of the two you want to go for.
I can do the introduction. You have already done it, or you can go for the firing questions.
Okay. So let's start with the quick-fire questions, and then we'll give you the chance. Okay. Bismillah. So tea or coffee?
I go for coffee.
MashaAllah. one of one, mashallah.
Mzuzu coffee specific.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Dark, right?
Dark one,
brilliant,
yes.
mashallah, fantastic.
Cool.
Apple or Samsung?
I'm an Apple.
Okay, I'll forgive you, okay? Last but not least, steak or chicken?
I go for steak.
Perfect, mashallah, brilliant. 2 of 3, alhamdulillah. On that topic, I heard you've got quite a skill in braai, mashallah, barbecue, quite a passion.
I do. And that's why I love steak. Beef.
Perfect, mashallah,
Yeah,
brilliant.
goes really down.
You wanted to have an introduction that you would like to mention about yourself also?
Well, I think you have really done a quite good job, but let me just add in to say, I'm also quite involved in the youth programs. I've been part of the YALI, the Young African Leadership Initiative to South Africa, caused Regional Leadership Center. You have already mentioned about the Global Health Corps. I've also been able to be part of the ALX Africa. If you're not quite familiar with, it's also a leadership university kind of. So it's sponsored by MasterCard, which they offer a lot of digital skills courses at a very low price. So it's sort of like more of empowering young people in Africa to have these tech skills, and they can be able to work online. So it's a very great initiative.
MashaAllah, that's great to hear. That's more of the serious side. What about your hobbies, your interests, your passions?
Well, so I play football on my free time. I'm a very good football player in Lilongwe.
So humble, mashallah.
Yeah, as you said it, I also love braai, barbecue. I have my secret recipes. I love barbecue. And the most important thing is also that I love to support people.
MashaAllah.
I love to support people, engaging with people, especially young people and young professionals, supporting them to ensure that they are really advancing in their skills. Because for myself, I spend most of the time either reading, checking on new courses, YouTube videos that are really sort of like they can help to empower myself. So with that, I also do help others to ensure that they are also, doing good in their career and professional work.
MashaAllah, that's great to hear.
I feel that's a passion.
Forgot to mention in the intro as well that Brother Hanif, mashallah, is very strongly involved as a trainer and a consultant for many different recognized and renowned organizations.
Great, yeah. So I have Career Plus training at consultancy that I started in 2016, and so far I've really trained quite a lot of people, both university students as well as also people that are working. So I would just mention to say, I've been to, here in Malawi, I've been to MDI University in Mangochi. Right. I've also been to Chancellor College twice, if not 3 times. Recently was the past December last year, I was called by the Department of Economics to give a lecture on monitoring and evaluation. It's a project management class. Apart from that, I've done a lot of also online trainings. I do support students also in terms of research. So, we have some courses where you are supposed to come up with a thesis or dissertation.
Right.
Universities in Malawi, not only in Malawi, but I should say across Africa, lecturers are very busy people. They don't have time to sort of like take people through steps and steps how to do this and practically. So I do support people as the coach or the mentor on how they can do that. Or in cases where they have issues with their supervisors that are not responding, I do support on what steps they can do. And mashallah, it's been very successful. I do also support people in terms of data analytics, like how to analyze data, how to collect data and make sense out of it, which is my daily work. So I do support that. In terms of the trainings, I do train the Microsoft packages, the computer-based computer skills, apart from others like public speaking, community engagement, and stuff. In addition to that, we have partnered with the University of Washington. So University of Washington on the website under public health, they do offer some courses, which are about $100 something. But if you come up as a group, you can pay very less and you pay in local currency. So with that, we've been able to develop groups where people are able to enroll. Currently, today, we are starting, leadership management course. So we have sponsored like about 198 last year completed the course using Career Plus as their group. So for those people that are looking for short courses under University of Washington, but it's expensive to pay directly, these groups helps to sort of like a pool of team, and you contribute like 50 or 60,000 kwacha, and you're able to enroll in that. So, yeah.
Mashallah, very impressive to hear it, subhanAllah. I've always wondered what actually lit that fire within you to actually pursue empowerment. Many people might have pursued so many different, like may have decided that, okay, we want to join our father's business or our family business, or pursued so many other fields. But empowerment, I feel, is so important in this day and age. What was the spark behind it?
The main spark in terms of this is when I was at the university, this is what sparked. So when I was at the university, I was working on my thesis. Yeah. So when I was working on my thesis, I was supposed to use a software that we were not taught in class. When you're doing courses like economics, you are supposed to use statistical packages and softwares. So the package, I didn't know, and being the finalist, like in the final year, it means you don't have anyone who has that experience apart from your lecture. So you have to involve your lecture. But as I said, lecturers are busy people. So I had to utilize the YouTube, utilize the library, and yeah, mashallah, I got a very good grade in my research paper. And when I came back to Malawi, I found that a lot of people, a lot of students, they are struggling on the same. Yeah. So that was the time when World Bank introduced a small youth or a group of young professionals in Malawi to support, like to promote youth involvement in the economic development of the country. So it just started in 2015. Then in 2016, I joined as a volunteer under the World Bank Youth Network. So I didn't mention that in the intro, but yeah, I've been part of the World Bank.
New to add,
I was part of the World Bank Youth Network. Now, when I saw, we had a lot of students from Polytechnic, from Chasa College. Then after a year, in 2017, it's when I became the National Resource Mobilization. And by then, the World Bank had some issues that was going on, and they said they couldn't sponsor us. And it was very hard for us also to get funding because we had the word World Bank. How can you go and fundraise while you're the World Bank, you see? So we changed the name to Youth Empowerment Network. Yeah, by then it was very active. And because we are struggling with the funding and all of that, I brought this idea, like, I can help people with these packages, and they can pay a very small amount of money to sustain the group. So yeah, it worked. I tried the idea here in Blantyre at Polytechnic, then we did at Chansa College in Zomba. It worked. Later on, I registered as independent consultant. So I started working with the youth organization as partners. Yeah, so we started as partners. Later on, the next leadership came in, and the organization, the youth organization slowly went down, and Career Plus picked up. So I still continue as an independent consultant. And by the way, I've worked with 𝐿X.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Mashallah.
So with 𝐿X in 2020, if not 2021, should be 2020, when they started in Malawi. By then they only had 5 Dawahs, the outreach officers.
Right.
So we were supposed to, they had the issue that they wanted to understand, like, what is the driving force for people to join Islam? Why a lot of people are coming to Islam? I was the first volunteer to conduct that research. I'll call it fact-finding, not really research per se, because we had a very small sample size due to funding and time and resources. But yeah, I did the study here in Blantyre, where I had to talk to about 400-something people just to understand why are they coming to Islam, and also asking to understand why are people leaving Islam. So that was, I think, also the first time I got to work with 𝐿X. I've participated in other programs when, I think we did together at College of Medicine the first time.
Correct.
When Sheikh Adnan came in.
Yep.
And we also did the other one at Polytechnic when there was Ashraf. I think, I don't know
Ashraf Schneider.
Yeah, from South Africa. Yep. Yeah, so these are the 2 events that I attended. Then I became a volunteer on that.
MashaAllah, you seem to have quite an impressive repertoire and portfolio, MashaAllah. And I'm sure a lot of that feeling and passion of da'wah may have come from so many of the different interactions that you've had with so many different people. Earlier you mentioned that you're an alumni for the 2019 Young African Leaders Initiative, right? And you went to South Africa, I believe, for that.
Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, when you were there, you were the only Malawian Muslim there, mashallah?
Yes, I was.
That must have been quite an experience. Talk us through it.
Is. Yeah, so in 2019, when I went for YALI program in South Africa, we were about 150 young leaders in 14 sub-Saharan African countries. In Malawi, we were 14, if not 15. And yeah, I was the only Muslim, and it was during Ramadan time.
Oh, man.
At the same time, in the whole program of 150, only 6 of us, we were Muslims. It means 5 were from Comoros, and I was the only one from Malawi. And because we were together during iftar, and during the tea break, people are having snacks, and we are there remaining. People thought I'm from Comoros. Yeah, really, they thought I'm from Comoros. When I say Malawi, we're like, but I thought you're Comoros. You don't speak French. I was like, I wish. But it was really something that is really great in such a way that it was also an opportunity to share the knowledge of Islam. For example, we were supposed to, during lunch or when we go out to eat, there were questions to do like, do you have some specific needs on your diet? And they'll be like, halal food.
Right.
Somebody asked me, tapped me like, bro, what is halal food? I saw you last night, you asked for halal food, and now your hand is up for halal. What is halal food? Is it like vegetables and stuff? So that time is when I appreciated, like, there's a lot of things that people don't know about Islam that we really need to talk about. And with YALI, it's a diverse community. It's a diverse community where they integrate everyone from different background, culture, and sexuality. Right. We also had the group of the LGBTQI. Yeah, and I had one time a friend from Namibia who is part of that, and was like, I'm facing this discrimination and all of that. What do you think about us? You see? So I had to talk to him in such a way that he should also understand what's the Islamic standpoint. At the same time, not knowing that he's asking me because he's frustrated with what people are talking about him. You understand?
Right.
But I had to be very frank with him to tell him what Islam teaches. And it doesn't mean that because he's an LGBTQI, I'm going to turn his neck around and all of that, as people are scared of Muslims and all of that. But being in these platforms, it helps you to learn from them. At the same time, it also gives you sort of like a voice to talk about what is Islam and what is Islam perspective on such issues. So yeah, a lot of opportunities to share. Even there are questions to do, like we had 2 sisters from Comoros. We're able to get questions like, why are you covering yourself? Yeah. So I should say that I think going through 𝐿X, GORAP, I've done a lot of other dawah previously, but I should say the GORAP, going through the workshops, I've done the online courses on 𝐿X, the Dawah, I've done the New Muslim Support program on the thing. It helped me to simplify the message, not, I remember one of the workshops, not to be on the defensive side of it, like where you're just answering the questions, being punched, answering the question, but to also come across and say, hey, let's talk about this. What do you know about God? Wow, how do you understand the concept of God? What do you believe is the Prophet? What about have you ever heard of the Quran? Have you ever heard of the Prophet Muhammad? Sort of like now narrowing down to share the message of Islam in such a way where somebody is asking you this, it's also been very helpful.
MashaAllah. Regarding being involved in so many different da'wah organizations and other organizations also, was there anything in particular that really attracted you towards 𝐿X?
Yeah. As I said, I've done Dawah and I've listened to a lot of speakers on Dawah. I do enjoy comparative religion, honestly. With 𝐿X, I should say that the GORAP, I found it to be a very simple way to have a conversation without going into other intellectual debates, kind of. Right. You understand? So, for example, where people keep debating on issues that are endless. Sometimes you get involved into debating this and that comes, that at the end of the day you spend 5 hours, but you don't come to any conclusion. Yeah. And with the situation in Malawi and most of the young people, I found the concept of GORAP to be more simplified, and it covers most of the basic needs that you need to share. So despite that the person might not become a Muslim, but the person has a wider understanding. The moment you finish the P of the rap, the prophethood, the person has a concept and understand that, so this is the belief in Islam. So even if the person doesn't become a Muslim, but has an idea, a kickstart of the foundation, like this is Islam. But if you keep debating, let's say, you debate about hijab, you debate about polygamy, you debate about alcohol, about pork, you keep talking about biology, some topics that you also have no knowledge of, you see. Right. So you, at least maybe for the other intellectuals, but I found that to be specific. But for the GORAP, I found it to be more general and applicable across different professional levels and knowledge levels, whether you're talking to somebody who hasn't gone to university or you're talking to somebody who has gone to university with a PhD, you can have a proper conversation using this concept.
For those of us that may have heard, or for those of you that may have heard so much about this GORAP and might be wondering that why they're telling us to go and rap, right? How could you simplify it in a way that a lot of people would be able to understand it?
Yeah, so I'll simplify it in such a way that with the GORAP concept, it's like for myself, I should say that I don't go into active Dawah. By active Dawah, where I come for the podcast, like go on the podium and start talking and all of that. For me, GORAP, I've been using it in a day-to-day conversation. Yeah, where I work, my friends, there are those moments when somebody comes or a situation happens and you find yourself in a conversation about religion. This is where I use GORAP. So I'll talk about the God existence. Yeah. Most of the people in Africa, almost general, maybe 90% we can say, we believe in God. The difference is the concept of God, of course, but we do believe in God. So we talk about, you believe in God? Yeah. So which God are we talking about? Then we talk about God, and we talk about the oneness of God, right? After talking about the concept of God, then we'll talk about the revelations. Yeah, then we'll talk like, if we have a God, and we believe that He's a creator, the simple example is a creator. And probably if we have a phone which comes with a manual book, just to use a phone, what about this whole machine or the human being that we see? Don't you think there's also a manual book on how to operate it? Then with those simple questioning, a person will be able to come narrow down to, yeah, I believe the same. Like, okay, so what do you think are the manual book? Then we talk about the revelation, the scriptures. And definitely we'll also talk about how over time some of these scriptures have been altered, have been changed, and why. And it's very simple, it's very vivid for somebody who reads. We can pick 2-3 verses if necessary, depending also on the knowledge of the person, and agree that, okay, there are some differences and we don't think that this is really authentic. And we'll talk about the Quran. Then we talk about the prophethood. There are so many prophets today. It's very, when you talk about prophets, today we have a lot of prophets. So we have to narrow it down which prophets specifically are we talking about. Yes, exactly. So you talk about the prophets. I've never had challenges with other prophets, especially the ones that are found in the Old Testament. Yeah. But then most of the people, it's very new they're more interested to understand why we regard Jesus as a prophet, at the same time for them to accept Muhammad as a prophet. So I think most of the time the emphasis is on these two, Jesus and Muhammad. People have a different perception. Despite people who have gone to school, they have a different perception on how Muslims see Jesus. They feel like it's a competition. It's like it's A or B.
Right.
Yeah, it's not both. They feel like it's A or B. So it's either we are pro Muhammad, they are pro Jesus. So something like that. So the moment you share how Islam views Jesus and how we view other prophets and how we view Muhammad, somebody will be like, I didn't know about this. So you guys, you believe in Jesus? I was like, not only in Jesus, but in the miraculous birth of Jesus and even the second coming of Jesus. And we even have chapter, Surah Maryam, dedicated for the mother Mary, the mother of Jesus. But I also say that I have friends who are Muslims who are working with different diverse communities, different organizations. But I should say that we have a problem, also Muslims, because for you to have such conversation, it means you are creating that environment that is very conducive for somebody to open up and ask you such questions. I have Muslim friends who have non-Muslim friends, but they have never had such conversation. People do avoid this conversation. Either be like, I will offend my friend, or they are not confident enough to talk about it, or for whatever reason. So I would say that, like in Malawi, Muslims are very generous people. Everywhere, people know Muslims as people who know how to give charity, money, food. But I'm telling you, Muslims are stingy when it comes to sharing the message of Islam. This is 100%, I can guarantee you, very stingy people.
Right.
We don't share. Either we are shy or we are not confident even to post a post on Twitter or on Facebook about Islam. You know? There's this concept where people feel like when you're known as a Muslim, you won't be able to get a job, or maybe you can't be promoted. I've worked in organizations where I'm the only Muslim. Even my current work, I'm the only Muslim in Global Health Corps. I'm the only Muslim as a staff. Yeah? And so many organizations that I've worked, and everyone knows, like currently, our country director in Malawi is a pastor. Yeah? And he knows I'm a Muslim. One day he came to my office, was like, Hanif, how is like divorce like in Islam? Like in Islam, do you allow divorce and all of that? What is it all about? So we had this conversation. He appreciated that diversity. So it's not true that if you need to hide and shouldn't expose yourself as a Muslim, you have to. And that helps others also to come to you and ask questions, and you have a dialogue. You learn also what do they believe about Islam and what do they say about Islam? And you're able to correct what is right and what is wrong within that.
MashaAllah, you seem to have a wealth of experience with so many different incidents to talk about.
Yeah.
And you very succinctly presented the GORAP methodology.
Yeah.
Just to further simplify it for all our viewers, the G stands for God's existence, the O stands for God's oneness, R for revelation, A for and P for prophethood.
Great.
Now, moving on to the incidents. I mean, you mentioned so many amazing and heartwarming ones also, and touching ones. But is there any other one that may just stick out to your mind right now?
Yeah, I grew up in Palombe. I think I don't know whether you know Palombe. It's a very small district down in the south of Malawi. Very prone to natural disasters. It's known for floods each and every year. So I grew up there. I should say that my dad also was a Christian. So in Malawi, and I will explain this in length later on. So in Malawi, culturally, when you marry a woman has to convert to follow the husband's religion. It's a common traditional in Malawi. So my great-grandfather was a Muslim, the only Muslim in my village, but he was not learned and he didn't understand much of Islam despite keeping Islam. You know, like he reserved the religion for the kids and for us, but he was not a learned person. So he had some areas where people were able to get married in his family and converting to Christianity. So when my mom and my dad got married, my mom converted to Christianity. The other issue was that my dad was not a church person. So it was only now my mom going to church. Then my mom was like, hey, I'm following you. I'm not used to this, you see? So my dad gave an okay to my mom that, yeah, it's fine. You can be going to the mosque. So I was born, my brother was born. We were all going to the mosque. I remember even, staying in the village and my father riding us on a Friday to a mosque, and he would stay outside. He would stay outside. So with that, I lost my parents years back later on. and I stayed with my uncle who was a Christian, so we used to go to Sunday school. Later on, I also stayed with my grandma. From there, I also went to madrasa. I'll explain that how it happened. So when I went back to the village after I lost my uncle, staying with my grandmother, I heard the sheikh at the mosque that they have opened a madrasa. I really wanted to learn madrasa. I wanted to read whatever these people were reading because I wasn't able to understand anything. So the mosque, from home to the mosque, it was really far. To such extent that on a Friday, for us to attend Juma Salah, we had to abstain from going to school. Like, we had to be absent. So it means we should start off around 9 a.m. in the morning for prayers that start at 1. Sometimes Juma Salah could start at 2:30 or 3 because the Imam came late from his field. You understand?
Right.
So when I started madrasa with my young brother, the only time for us to go to madrasa was after classes, after school, the secular studies. Then I had to be stealing the bike from my uncle or my grandfather for us to use. If I don't get a chance of the bike, no madrasa that day. And you go to madrasa, and these madrasas are not like proper structures. You know, you learn at the sheikh's veranda. These are the traditional madrasa in the village. They still continue up to now. So you go there, the sheikh open his the book, the kitab, and they will read alif, ba, ta, tha, ji, up to ya. They'll be like, you guys, you have to go because it's getting late. Yeah, but then we had to go back. That's how I started learning madrasa. So I did that for a few months. Then my aunt sent us to a boarding school in 𝐃𝐚'𝐲, which is 𝐃𝐚'𝐲 Islamic Center. So I went there. The sheikhs were very lenient enough to allow me to start because there is a requirement. You're supposed to know how to read Surah Fatiha. I didn't know how to read Surah Fatiha. So I went there and I started learning for 4 years. Then, mashallah, I went to an Islamic secondary school, so Aslam Boys in Mangochi. Then later on at Zanzibar University, which all had good, strong foundation of Islam. Now, when it comes to Dawah, my inspiration comes from this situation because I still have a lot of people in my village and a lot of young people who never had such opportunity to learn. I talked about having confidence to share the message of Islam. Some of them, it's also lack of this Islamic foundation knowledge that they don't have. That's why people stay back not to talk about it. Like, but if I'm saying something wrong, so they would remain silent. So this is what drives me up to now, pushing forward, ensuring that others also have the same knowledge. We are taught by our Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, but the best among people are those who have learned the Quran and teach others. And they say, help me to spread the message of Islam, even with one single verse. So I take these two as something that is very strong and help with the little that I know to also lighten up other people and understand like, okay, this is what is Islam, and I can also help to share the message of Islam. I hope I've talked enough.
Now, you mentioned many times that there may be people out there that also have that feeling or that may want to come out, but there might be some social pressures or some kind of pressure. You know, like you mentioned earlier, that some Muslims, they're very stingy with actually presenting the message. Now, for those people that really feel uncomfortable to spread the message of Islam or feel like they're being held back or feel that they want to come out of their shell, would you have any kind of advice for them, whether it's through a motivational quote or anything of the sort?
Yeah. So one of them that I can say is, I think we talked about this, was just to believe in yourself, that I can be able to contribute to this. So there are two things. There is a fear that because somebody doesn't have much knowledge in the area, there is that where a person looks down on himself or herself. The best way is, I can say, is we are still young. Most of the people are still young. It's a matter of dedicating time to read, dedicating time to go on YouTube and listen to proper messages of different sheikhs. Or 𝐿X. I know 𝐿X has also an academy website where you can be able to do courses like Dawah courses, new Muslim support courses, or coming to workshops. I've seen the webinars that you are also organizing as 𝐿X, where people are able to listen to how to do Dawah and all of that. Having good company of people that are involved in that, it can also help you to learn in that area. When it comes to building confidence, it doesn't come in one day. It comes slowly. You can start from a friend, your best friend, We have friends where we say we don't judge each other. Those type of friends. You talk to the person, because in our community we have people who are not of religion. We can talk about them. With that, you'll be able to build your confidence. Last time I shared the story of the Titanic, yeah?
Right.
I shared the story of Titanic, that when Titanic was sinking, there were a couple of ships, that other ships that were around nearby in the vicinity of the incident. And there was a California ship, I've forgotten the other ship, but the other one was behind the ice, which was a little bit far, but there was another one which had the alarm. They could have been able to come and maybe save few people from there. But these guys were fishing illegally. And they were like, no. We can't go there. We can't go there. But imagine if these guys were able to rush. Were able to rush and support. Probably they would have saved few. Yeah? So, yes, we have weaknesses. We have our weaknesses, but we shouldn't capitalize on that. As human beings, we just need to keep on working on things that will make us better. We'll fall down, let's pick up ourselves. But as we're picking up ourselves, don't also forget others. Let's walk up together with them. And in that way, all of us will be able to move on the right path, inshallah.
Very wise words, mashallah. So, do you have any favorite motivational quotes that you may want to share, or that you personally use yourself when it comes to times when you're feeling a bit low and you want a bit of a boost? Do you have any motivational quotes, even if it's one or two?
Yeah, from Surah Al-Dawah, which is my favorite. I don't think I can go all of it now. But Surah Al-Dawah talks about a lot of goodness that Allah has blessed us with. Yeah? And we shouldn't be among those that, because of what people are saying, then we start looking down on us, or looking down on yourself. But rather, we should be motivated and thank for those goodness that Allah has blessed us with.
Right.
Yeah. So with that, in the saying that also, Balawani walau ayah, like the Prophet said that help me to spread the message of Islam, even with one single ayah. Today, for any Muslim, like a simple Muslim who hasn't maybe gone very far with education, Islamic theology and all of that, probably they know more than one verses. Right. Yeah? So we can be able to talk and share those verses. Even it's not about talking only to non-Muslims, but even within the Muslim community, we also have some areas where we need to help each other, we need to guide each other to the straight path. You see a brother or a sister doing something contrary, then we can be able to advise. At the same time, we should also be open to get advice from others, you know? Right. It shouldn't be something that offends us, but be able to get the positive critical criticism that, hey, brother, yeah, you do this, but you see, here also things are not going proper. So having that open mind is also very powerful for both sides, for you to be involved in uplifting others, and others also be able to guide you.
MashaAllah. May Allah make us true, dedicated, and passionate ambassadors of Islam.
Ameen.
Now, tying into the name of our podcast, which is Dawah Legacies, is there any one specific quality which you feel is extremely important for a person to leave behind as a legacy for his progeny?
Yes. For me, I believe in having that legacy, something that continues over time. Even when our names are forgotten, things should continue. And I can bring in an example of the famous, Great Wall of China. Do you know how long it was built?
No idea.
You have no idea. Which dynasty was able to build that? It took over 1,200 years for it to be built. Now you can think of who planned that. How did they ensure that they have a succession plan, that this generation will build up to here, this one up to there, this one up to there? So if we can focus in investing in empowering others, like the young generation. So we call ourselves young, yeah? But few years now will be the grannies. We are going to have a generation of young people, yeah? So young people, like us, we have learned it from our fathers, from our forefathers, yeah? They have showed us the way. This is the way. Now that generation is getting old, yeah? Right. Slowly, we are taking up their place. And we are also moving from being the young generation, will be the older generation. The new generation is coming. So if we can set a pathway for the next generation, it means the next generation will continue what they have seen their old folks doing. They'll also do the same. They'll pass it on. It's sort of like passing on the game to the other person. So if we can build the Dawah culture in such a way that it's enjoyable, it's compatible with the today's lifestyle, in that way we'll make people, young people, to join Dawah groups, and that culture is going to remain with us, and it will continue. I don't know to how many years, inshallah, but it's going to continue time and time because we have built that foundation. But if we stop and feel like somebody else is going to do it, then it will keep the same attitude and nobody is going to do it. And our youth, our next generation, will have children who might not be able to know anything. So this is the thing. Sometimes we say that maybe I should just focus only on my children, or I should just only focus on my friends. But we live in an ecosystem whereby you never know who are going to be the friends of your children. Right. Yeah? So having these conversations, having this dawah, even with people who are non-Muslims, but they understand deeply the knowledge of Islam, it also helps to have that coexistence. Having that friendship and tolerance to say, yeah, I'm not a Muslim, but I know Muslims don't do this. So let's respect that. They have this time for prayers. Let's respect that. So that's what we want to have. Having that peace, unity, and that tolerance in the community. That's what will make Islam also to strive and makes us good people in the ecosystem, not only within the Islamic community, but even for those people that are not also Muslims.
MashaAllah, subhanAllah, very wise word that transcends your years, yeah. MashaAllah. And just before we end this, I'd like to say that you're one of the most perfect encapsulations of the phrase that give a man a fish, you feed him for a day, yeah. Teach a man how to fish and you feed him for a lifetime.
Exactly, I think you have summary, you have summed up everything now.
May Allah guide you and may Allah continue to make you a means of guidance for as many people as possible, physically, mentally, spiritually, and Islamically. Jazakallah khair.
Thank you so much, and I pray that may Allah also bless you with so much. We have learned a lot from you, Abdul, and with all of this initiative, I think this is what we need. I was just mentioning earlier on to say more with this generation, we are moving away from the radio currently. Very few people are listening to radio, but now we have all these online podcasts, YouTube and all of that, which young people we need to utilize and use this to share Islam to the wider community. So this is a very great initiative. MashaAllah, may Allah give much barakah that we should have our own studio, proper studio, and we can reach thousands of people with the message of Islam in a beautiful way, which will also act as our legacy. The next generation will be able to watch and learn from this and continue, inshallah. Jazakumullah khair.
This has been your host Abdullah Panjwani with Brother Hanif Munthali, and Alhamdulillah, this has been one of the most enlightening and empowering episodes to date. Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. And on that note, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
You say that you love me, but damn, I know it's a lie.